Welcome to this week's episode of Does That Make Sense? This week, considering it's the 10th of the 10th, Amanda and I thought we'd talk about numbers and the repeating numbers that we all seem to see. I know I certainly have been seeing them. What about you, Amanda?
Yeah, I mean, last year I started seeing 1111 just so often, and I see people on Facebook commenting on it all the time.
Yeah, so let's talk about numbers and what these repeating numbers actually mean, shall we?
Let's get into it.
So, Amanda, numbers. So I'm wanting to talk about numbers because it's been it's been repetitive in my life since 2020 actually, and I see numbers, whether it be ones are a lot, 111, 1010 is a huge one, and you seem to be the guru of numbers of late. You've been doing a lot of research.
I have, because last year I was the same. I started seeing 1111 to the point where it just became ridiculous, and I was like, I had to take notice. Like, it was like the frying pan being smacked over your head kind of awareness.
Yeah, and with that, you've done a lot of research background on what that can actually mean to you.
Yes, well, I mean, I've always really been into numerology, astrology, numerology, the whole lot.
Well, you are an astrologer.
Eniology. Yes, that's right. So I started to really start looking up and researching numbers a lot when I was seeing certain numbers. And now I'm at the point where different numbers come up continuously, and they're not always just the 111s. But should we start with the ones?
Yeah, let's start with the ones, because ones are certainly my domain of late.
Yeah, well, I think interesting thing is you can sometimes see 3 ones, but the common one I'm hearing a lot of people talk about often is seeing 1111.
Mm-hmm.
And 11 in numerology is a master number. It's like a spiritual number. So when you go into numerology and you work out your year that you're going into, so you can actually work out what year vibration you're going into, and it starts on your birthday. So
yep. I'm a 9 life path.
You're a 9, so you'll have a number that's your sort of like your star sign. So
yes.
Your 9 is like you being a Scorpio.
Yes.
Right? So, but then you also change into the influence of a number at your birthday every year. So when your birthday turns over, you'll start a new influence. So we'll work yours out right now.
Oh,
so,
gosh.
So how you work it out?
I'm a bit nervous.
Okay, so you're 13
11
of the 11th.
1974.
So, yeah, so what you do to work out, so if you want to work this out at home, what year you're going into, how you do it is you add up the 13 and the 11. You better do the maths on that.
4, 5, 6.
Okay, and then you take the year, so the year number, so it's 2021 as we're recording this. So then we add in 2.
8, yep.
And then another 2.
10.
And then a 1 because...
11. Oh.
Oh my gosh. Oh, we just got goosebumps. So you're going into an 11. And what I was about to say, which just leads us into this, I know, is that often when you go in and you change into your year numbers, 11 doesn't normally come up quite commonly. Like you'll go, into a 1 year, or you'll go into a 2 year. We'll do mine now. So mine, I'm born on the 6th of the 7th. We're not going to say the year. Because we don't
Hang on, that's cheating.
But we don't need to for figuring it out. But the 6th of the 7th.
So that's 13.
13 plus then we're going to do the year again. So 202, the year that we're
14,
recording.
15, 16, 17.
So I'm in an
18.
8.
Yep.
No, 9. I'm in a 9. So I'm in a finishing, yeah. So on my birthday, I went into a 9 year. So it's sort of a finishing year. So, but to go into an 11, which you're going into, so normally that would be a 2 often. Last year might have been a 1, so it was a new start. And this one was often a 2. But every now and then you'll go into an 11, and that's quite a spiritual year. So someone that's really going through a big spiritual transformation.
So will I see ghosts?
I don't know what you're going to see. You see something. So yeah, 1111, when we're seeing that, it's really, to me, it's like someone going through a spiritual awakening. Like all of a sudden they might have had, and I think a lot of us are, because we're spending a lot more time on our own, or we're not doing our normal work routine. We've been changing things up. We've been looking for that meaning in life because of COVID.
It's very me right now, actually.
And then also people, I often hear people sort of say that when they see 1111 as well, that, it's like someone that's, passed over, that's, maybe a loved one that's, talking, communicating with them. So they might see that as well. But I think overwhelming, what I really think is when you start seeing 1111, it's a time of spirituality.
1111 is a big number for me to see it everywhere. And it's all the 311s. So it doesn't necessarily need to be the 411s.
Yep.
Or the 4 ones, I should say. But it's also 3 ones, but it's always a 1.
Okay.
So, and whether it be 11:11 at night or in the morning, or whether it be even looking at social pages and seeing 111 likes.
Okay.
It's just quite bizarre.
Well, the 3 ones is I think slightly different energy. And look, I think what the overwhelming message I would say is that if you're seeing a repeating number all the time, often think about where you're at or what you're thinking of or what's going on in your life. And I think you need to really start to, and this is what I've done, is sort of get your own meaning for it. So then, So
there's no rule book. There's
no rule book
that has a definition of this is what this means. It's really what's dependent on what's going on in your life.
I think so, but I always relate it back to numerology and astrology when I'm doing it. So when you see 3 ones, I think that's a little bit different to the 1111. The 3 ones is always about a new start. Okay. So the energy of yourself, and there's a new start for you. So I think it's about, look, maybe you've started a new venture, and the possibilities are limitless. We're at the start. You can take it whatever way you want.
Yeah.
So it just might be that there's a lot of new influences or energy or opportunities sort of around you as such, where you could just, you can take it any way you want.
And what about with 1010? So it's still 3 ones.
It's 2 ones because it's 10.
Yes,
yeah.
I can't count.
So I think when you're seeing 1010, 1 is again that sort of new opportunity as such, and 0 is quite powerful. So I think 1010 is there's a new opportunity and it's quite powerful.
Okay,
that's how I see it. So because 0 is often a power number,
and I have seen that there's a lot of reference in terms of numbers of angel numbers.
Yes,
that it's a deceased loved one that's guiding you or is there. It's for your sense of calm or your sense of acknowledgement to say thank you or whatever it may be. Do you feel that, or is it aliens?
I think I did see somewhere where they were saying, is it aliens communicating with us?
Yeah, that'd be right. That'd be me, aliens talking to me.
It's really funny. I think it's really, I do think it's, well, that's what's overwhelming, sort of the message is that it's angel numbers. It's something that's from maybe another realm or something, but it's trying to get your attention, whoever you want to say it is, whether you want to say it's a loved one, whether you want to say it's like a crew of people back there we don't know about and this other, could be a whole crew of them. It could be whatever you're seeing or feeling, and I don't think that really matters. I think it's more so that if you're seeing a number come up all the time, I think it is good to pay attention and to start going, well, look, this is coming up for a reason.
And what's going on in your life at that specific time and try and relate it back.
Yeah.
And what about 2s? I have only just been starting to see 2s, but it's not as strong as the ones. I see them all the time, but what about 2s?
Well, I think with 2s, it's more so often about a union, you and someone else. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a relationship, but it could be even a business relationship.
Okay.
But I think there's a few different definitions, and that's the thing when you go and try and look these up, they're all saying something different. But for me, say 3 2s, which I've seen at different times, I think it's like you're on the right track with that person. So say you just started a business with someone and you're seeing 3 2s, it could be confirmation, or it could be, I see that sometimes it's like, oh, this could be a soulmate, or this could be this relationship. There's something there. Well, think about it. 2 is 2 people, 2, isn't it? So it's like, one, whereas 1 is that energy of there's endless possibilities for you yourself. 2 is like, maybe to me it's like, well, there's endless possibilities with this union. And
with 3s?
3. So when you look at 3 and you go into a 3 year, often it's really creative energy, and it's that, creativity, and you're getting to create what you want. And I think when you see the 3 3s, I think it's about, there's some real creative opportunities around you. You've wanted some change, and now there's some opportunities to really create and go forward with that creation. Because a 3 year, when you go into a 3 year, is usually a year that's more that year that's about fun and opportunities and social and, more creative energy. Like, I'm just really there's a lot of creative opportunities coming to me.
Okay.
So the 3/3s could be sort of that confirmation that, you wanted to change and now they're here.
And it's presenting itself and, it's letting you know you're on the right path, I'm assuming.
I think all the numbers are sort of saying, you're being guided, there's opportunities around you and you are on the right path.
Whether it be angels or aliens, we don't know.
We don't know if it's angels or aliens at this point.
And fours.
So that's really interesting because fours often given a really bad rap by certain cultures, but I see 3/4s this way, and it's often when you look at it. I spoke to another spiritual person. They were sort of saying like 3/4s is you're on the right track because it's like a chair. It's about stability. So a chair has 4 legs. So when you think of it that way, and do you recall when we were recording our podcast with Kerry, I saw 444 and I pointed it out to you and Kerry laughed and said, well, you're on the right track.
Yes.
So there's a lot of stability, security. For me personally, the number I've assigned it to usually a good thing when I see 3/4s. Like I might have put a quote out to do some work and then I get that email that says, yes, we want to go ahead. Yes. Or I might have some money come in that I was waiting for. So for me, when I see 3/4s, I'm always like, thank you, because I see it as a good thing. I see it as, like, well, here you are. And I think it's really about stability and, you've got something there. You've got a firm chair.
Yeah, and everything that you've been working towards is coming into fruition. It's strong, it's stable. And I love the analogy of a chair has 4 legs. A table has 4 legs.
Yes.
And that creates a stability. I love that.
Yes.
We're up to 5.
We're up to 5s. Now, I find that if you look up, 5 is really a number of, I think, opportunity and opportunity to sort of go anywhere. And when you see 3/5s, overwhelmingly, I'm seeing when I research it, nearly everyone agrees on this one. The 3/5s is usually some big change is coming up in your life.
Okay.
And you don't have to go with the change. You could decide, no, happy with what I'm doing.
Crossroads. But
there's almost that a 4 comes up, yes, yep. I'd say a crossroads where there's an opportunity for you to maybe go a different direction. So say, and I do believe you'll be right either way, but there's some big changes here going on and there's some opportunities that are presenting themselves. So you might be able to change careers.
Yeah, so there's no right or wrong way. So
I don't think so because I think you get there in the end. I think we've discussed that. Yeah, so I think with the 3/5s, it's like, there might be the opportunity to sort of go into a relationship, or you may not. You might want to change careers, or maybe not. But there's an opportunity there for you.
Okay, and 6. Is that?
Are we going to say 666?
Is that, the omen? Because it's always associated with horror films.
It's like the 4, it gets a really bad rap, doesn't it? It's like, it's
666. It's like, oh
no. Well, the interesting thing is when you go into a 6 year, often that's a year about harmony, love. So often people meet someone in a 6 year, I find.
Really? So it's complete opposite
It actually is a complete opposite, yeah. So I think it's more about finding that balance in life, meeting someone. So you might be really career focused, but you see someone that's really not wanted to maybe be in a relationship, but they go into a 6 year and they really meet someone, and that's, that creates a different sort of balance to everything, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. So I think a 6 is actually really more about love and family and, harmony in that sense. So
I must admit, 6 it's not something that has been coming up in my life. I mean, I'm a 1s and 2s kind of girl at the moment, but certainly not 6. So if I saw 6,
you'd freak out.
I'd be, Amanda.
Yeah.
Speed dial to you.
Yeah. 7s. So so 7s is, the interesting thing is I think it's really a spiritual number 7. When you think about it, it's like, the 7 wonders of the natural world. It's a really magical, mystical, spiritual number, isn't it?
Yeah.
Often it's 7 is associated with that, magical sort of spiritual in itself. So to me, if you're seeing the 3 7s, you might have just started a new. You might have seen the 11 11s, for example, and you get the spiritual awakening, and then you might have gone full force into a more spiritual life.
Yep.
And that, if you're seeing those 3 sevens, which is harder to see, obviously, on the clock, because that's the other thing we didn't mention is where you're seeing these numbers.
Yeah, you always have your phone and what have you.
But I've been driving behind a car and seen it on the number plates, or,
Yeah.
you know, you'll see different things coming up at different times. So I think 7 is definitely, you know, you're on a spirit, you know, you've really embraced this spiritual opportunity and you're going with that path.
Creating some magic.
Yeah, and often when people go into a 7-year, they are that little bit more introspective and more spiritual. And 7 people, so when we worked out your numbers, you're a 9. When you work out my birthday, I'm a 1. So this is our almost our star sign number.
Yes.
When you meet someone that's a 7 as their life number, they're often that little bit different. They don't fit into the normal work 9 to 5 grind.
Yep.
They're people that maybe are more spiritual, and it's almost a little hard for them to fit into our mold
Yep.
of how we work, because
Yep.
they really need to live a more spiritual sort of life. So you often find those people that sort of, you know, they can't quite fit into that sort of.
They have more depth.
They do, yeah. There's a lot of wisdom about them,
Yeah.
and they're really probably, you know, suited to something spiritual.
Okay. And 8, didn't you say that was abundance?
Yeah, because it's the affinity sign, the 8.
Okay, it is too.
Yes. So 8s to me is like, it's definitely a number of abundance, and that's why certain cultures just love 8s. Like they want to
Yep.
buy a house that's got a number 8, or 8s are really sort of popular because it is that sign of abundance. It's infinity, like it's, you know, it's abundance to me means it's endless, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think 8s are
And
a
is that
really great
financial
sign.
or is it all aspects of your life?
I think it's in all aspects of your life, but a lot of times 8 does come with like a person that's an 8 number as their, as we say, their life number. So their
Yep.
star sign number is an 8. Often they have a lot of things associated with. They have the ability to really make money often. So, and they also tend to sort of, it can be a bit of a power number as well.
So if you see 8s, it's a really positive.
I think it's a positive sign for prosperity and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And 9s.
9s. So 9s is an ending year. So
That's my life path.
Yes, yeah.
I think I said to
This
you.
is it.
I think I said to you, does that mean I'm not coming back?
I
Is
don't
this
know.
the last of
Maybe-
my life?
Maybe it's the last time on Earth and you go back to that alien existence or something. Next time you'll come back as an alien.
I think I am an alien half the time.
Well, I'm not gonna dispute it. I'm not gonna confirm or deny anything at this stage. But I think if you're going into, as we worked out mine, so my year, this year, supposedly from my birthday, it's about something's going to change. There's an ending. So often you see when people go into a 9-year,
Yeah.
they are, you know, selling their house. They are changing something. They are, you know, so if you're seeing like, you know, 9s a lot, it's like it's the end of a chapter. Well, this phase is finished for you.
Yes.
And, you know, that, and a new one's about to start.
Is there anything else after that? I mean, or do you...
Well, that's when you start saying, well, of course, it's the 11-11 if we sort of work that out, or
Yeah.
the 12-12. The other thing is I started then seeing, so then they took a whole new, you know, direction, like the numbers that I was seeing, and I started seeing things like 212, 313, 414, so 515. So these numbers that were before like 3 5s or 3 4s,
Yep.
I started seeing these numbers, and at first I didn't actually realise that they could mean something until I started seeing the same number over and over. So just to give you an example, at the moment I have been, like, it's ridiculous amount of times I see it, but I see 818 a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's, and once again, that's about abundance. And I think with the 1 in the middle, it's about you. So
you are able to create that abundance in your life, and you're in control of it. Is that
that's
what
the
you're sort of saying?
So, and the same thing if we go back to all the numbers again and figure that out. So 212. So there's a union here
Yeah.
But maybe it's up to you also to sort of recognise that, or
Yeah.
313, there's some creative opportunities here, but you can create those opportunities, or you can go somewhere with those opportunities.
Okay. So if you're seeing a number that not necessarily is, for instance, 111 or 222, etc., but you see sequences like 313 or 1010 or 1212 or
515 or 818.
So you look at the individual numbers and then you combine them to try and understand how it reflects into your own
I think
current
so,
life.
yes. For me, that's been an easy way for me to decipher the numbers, is I've gone back and looked at numerology and just looked at, and it makes sense when you think about it. It's like, the one being yourself.
Yeah.
And then, just put that combination together and it's sort of a message for you.
And I think that if you stop trying to overthink it, I think that a lot of people, when they start seeing repetitive numbers or just, repetitive things that it signs, if you want to call it that, that they really zone in and focus on trying to work out what it is. Where if you step back, have a look of what's going on in your life, strip back the layers a bit, it would have the meaning will naturally progress.
Yeah, and I think the numbers sort of show up. Like I know even when I was seeing 33 at one stage, I would see it in the middle of an email, like as in a time, the time 333 was in an article on something I was reading. Yeah. And I've seen, or you might see it like the number of emails you've got or that you haven't looked at if you haven't been decluttering your emails or.
Yeah, yes.
But I think if you are seeing the same number all the time, then maybe stop and try and, okay, I'm seeing this a lot. What am I thinking about? What's going on in my life at the moment? And that's probably a good starting base. I think that's probably the best way to go about it. And like I said to you, I think that you can go and Google and research, and I've been doing this for about a year now, looking at all those different sequence of numbers and the common number patterns and what they mean. But I really do think they need to be something that what it means for you.
Do you think it's like Morse code from the aliens?
Remember that movie Contact? And they were just communicating were they communicating in numbers or something, weren't they? There's that movie
think
Contact.
So. It's an old movie.
Yeah. So, I mean, the interesting thing is that I think that's where it sort of came up at one stage. I think there was an article about, being aliens trying to communicate with us. And I mean, there has been more UFO sightings, I think, throughout COVID.
We actually should get a...
we'll get a UFO expert on to sort of to deep dive into that topic.
See if it's the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, for people to take away from this, so what you were saying is that try and connect the repetitive numbers to what's going on in your life.
Yes. Work with what works best for you.
And have a look at the numbers in the sense of numerology of where they are positioned.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily somebody like an angel or a guide or a past
I think
loved
it is.
one.
I do think it is guides, and I think it is something on the other side. That's my opinion. I think it's. I think we've got a whole. My personal opinion is I think we've got a whole spirit squad out there.
That'd be good.
So I think it's made up of past loved ones, ancestors you haven't met, maybe all sorts of different guides and people.
But it'd be more them supporting you and confirming where you are at, rather than trying to send you a message.
Yeah, and it's sort of almost comforting to know, like you're not in this alone.
Yeah.
So if you are in this alone at the moment during COVID, maybe seeing those numbers just showing you're not. You've got a whole team behind you. You may not be able to see them.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Yeah.
And lastly,
yes,
what do you think that people should take away from numbers?
I
see numbers. It's
I
almost
see
like
numbers.
that movie.
I think that you should take note. Especially if they're numbers that are coming up all the time. So, and if the opportunity feels right, you can go that way. But you'll probably be fine if you don't take it as well, because I think you get there in the end.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amanda.
Okay.
I think it's a wrap for...
I see numbers.
I see numbers.
Yes.